Phenomenal news is coming out over the last 24 hours for any crypto holder, and you're going to want to stick around to the end of the show because there's three stories that are really, really big in my opinion, but others as well. Does that mean the bottom is in for crypto? Well, we'll discuss that, but these are some very positive signs. You do not want to click off this video. We're going to have a whole lot of discussions about all of the major topics affecting these markets today. So if you've been here before and you always enjoy the Broz Show, make sure to smash that like button right now. If you're new, though, stick around to the end, and if you enjoy it, you got to hit that subscribe button. First, however, we got to roll an intro. Welcome, everybody, to the Investing Bros live show. Really quickly, 500 likes before 4 o'clock. So you have 59 minutes, being very clear here with the rules. 500 likes, and we will do a live community trade on the show. You guys will choose the coin. I won't choose the coin. We'll just, I'll choose what the setup is. But 500 likes, smash it right now. Remind people in chat. I'm joined by two beautiful-looking men right here with me. Both of them love cryptocurrency, one more than the other. You guys tell me which one is the one that loves it more. I got Smay down here looking a little bit like Harry Potter with an Investing Bros hat on. Potter, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing lovely, Tim. And can I
that
just
is
say,
not a Potter impersonation.
Well, it was more like what's
Gandalf.
the bad guy? Well, yeah, no, what was the bad guy?
Gandalf in Lord of the Rings.
Bilbo Baggins. Dude, I can do a sick Gandalf impression. But anyways, that's irrelevant. What I would like to say though is, guys, I think if we hit 400 likes by 3:30, 400 likes by 3:30, they'll finally add me to the intro. I've been here for months and I'm not even in the intro. So,
all right,
like, come on. Come on, guys.
Maybe we'll just make Smay the entire intro. Tshroom, hodling on over here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim.
Good.
Really, really just having a great day. Just got a lot done. Having some great meetings that the bros will be finding out some details about pretty soon.
Very, very cool. Alan says, can you guys go over AVAX? We might be able to take a look at the AVAX chart again. I think we looked at AVAX the other day because, of course, they had some good news with an ETF filing, but we might take a look at AVAX. Hey, if the community votes for it, if we get that 500 likes and the community says, let's set up an AVAX trade, maybe that's a good reason to do it here a little bit later. Like I said in the intro, if you guys are just joining us, a whole lot of news to go through today. 3 stories really sticking out to me. That in the last 24 hours are massive for crypto holders. There's not just 3 stories, though. There's a lot to discuss. Let's get a quick 1-minute wrap-up of those headlines. We'll discuss them more in detail later on in the video. But Tshroom, what is big today? Let us know. Take it away.
Yeah. UAE Sovereign Wealth Fund makes minority stake in Bitcoin for $2 billion deal. We'll get into some more of the details of this one in a few minutes. Scoop, 2 well-placed sources tell Eleanor Tourette that the SEC and the Ripple case could be wrapping up very soon. We've heard it before. Could it be true? Rumble buys 188 Bitcoin worth just over $17 million. Very impressive little grab there. Midweek grab. Headline inflation really taking the bulls by storm, saying, hey, bulls, wake up. It's time to buy. Because the actual print was 2.8. Previous was 3%, and the forecast was 2.9. That's right. This is the number you want to be smaller than the forecast, and it was. That's why we get a big thumbs up there from the Trumpster, Donald Trump, President of the United States. Bank of Russia to allow Bitcoin and crypto buying for limited investors. Maybe this man right here is feeling a little bit bullish on Bitcoin. United States core CPI, also some more data. This one came in pretty good as well. Actual 0.2, previous was 0.4, came in under the expected and the previous, and then the year over year also came in under the expected. So a great inflation print. And of course, all of the craziness from yesterday's tariff wars. We'll be talking about a little bit more of that and kind of seeing on the charts how the investors are digesting a lot of the tariff chaos from yesterday. So that is our news today. Bros, make sure to go and check out the link down in the description. You've been thinking about going to the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas in late May. Seize the moment now. Go ahead and jump down there and claim your tickets, because prices do go up on Friday. They do go up on Friday. So go ahead and get those tickets today to Las Vegas. You'll see Crux and I there. So it's going to be a ton of fun, and we can't wait to see you. Tim,
Very,
that's the
very
headline.
cool. Yeah. We're going to jump into some charts here, guys. Again, I'm going to go through charts quickly. I'm going to save some trade setups for later in the show. We might do multiple trade setups if we have time for it. Again, a lot of discussions to have here. Stick around, though. I will talk more about the sponsor of today's show after the technical analysis. You guys are just waiting on the edge of your seat. What's the sponsor today? I know like half of you guys are feeling that. We're going to wait until after the TA here. But again, 500 likes by 4 o'clock, and we'll do some live trading. Smash that like. Let's go to my screen here, Smay, and take a look at what's happening with Bitcoin. After the more recent bottom yesterday, right, when we crashed down, officially filling the CME gap that was set back in November, a lot of people are wondering, is the bottom in? Well, I'm not certain about that, but there are a lot of things that are backing up the prediction I made within the last 2 days that I think will make a bounce back up above 90K before we have key decision time. But before that, this green line is new. This is, if you guys have watched my technical analysis every single day, you might be saying, Tim, where's that green line coming from? Well, that's new because of the confirmed bounce from yesterday. It does look like there's a little bit of a falling support level matching with that falling resistance level. Now, this is very bullish. Don't get your hopes up just yet. I'm not saying that this means the bottom is in just as we touch support again, but I am saying it's the new support level to keep an eye on. So even if we come back down lower, we're going to find some cross-reference here between this support level and a horizontal support level that could be very, very interesting. On these time frames like the daily and 2 daily, we are still monitoring a buy signal that has come in here. Great bullish divergence, reversal in play. Positive money flow, even though it's kind of playing with us, positive money flow on both the daily and the 2 daily, okay? And what this means, I'm going to go back to the daily because it kind of gives us the best chart here. This means it gives us a short-term target over the next week that Bitcoin easily could make its way from the Luxalgo indicators back above 91,000, maybe even as high as 94. And then we kind of have a decision time when it comes to Bitcoin, right? We're balancing that bullish chart, like the daily and 2 daily are bullish. Great news, right? Great stuff. We're still balancing the fact that the 2 weekly chart, its oscillators gave us a sell signal last week. Let me full screen the Luxalgo oscillator. Red reversal, bearish momentum, bearish divergence, and that negative money flow. You know what that means? The smart trail horizontally coming in at $74,000 is going to be something to keep an eye on here as I zoom out. That smart trail right there. It could get as low as 65. But 74 is my first zone to keep an eye on. Also, by the way, we'll kind of run into that. Let's go back towards the daily chart. The cross section of when that price action would come in with this green line would put it somewhere around March 27th, okay? So no guarantees we have to wait till March 27th. It's just something to be aware of that at the moment, the 2 weekly chart still thinks 74K, that former high from March of 2024, should be hit. And also a trending level of support would suggest the timeline area to keep an eye on would be right at the end of March. That being said, again, we're going to talk news here in just a couple of minutes as to why it is short-term bullish, but I want to be very clear. Even though the news coming out today is bullish, even though even shorter time frames like the 4-hour chart are still giving us a buy signal that should take us at the very least back up towards 87,000, I want you guys to be prepared for what possibly could happen, right? We talked about a bullish move back up to 90K before these 3 amazing headlines have come out in the last 24 hours. We're going to cover those literally in a couple of minutes, okay? So hold on to your seat, smash the like button, stay with us. That being said, I told you I'll do a trade setup later. Let me show you the trade setup that I have right now. Our VIP trading group already knows about this, but I want to reiterate it for you guys here in chat. We entered last night, our VIP trading group, almost perfectly. I say almost perfectly. We wicked down here to roughly 76,500. Okay. We had an entry at 77,112. It's going to be right in this cage. It's on a different chart, but I want to go ahead and draw it right here. Our stop loss was at 74.8. I want to say was where that one was. So didn't really test our stop loss whatsoever, but we have a take profit up in the world of 91,800, right? This is kind of what we're working with right now for a shorter term long position. This is my plan. I just told you guys we could make our way back up towards 94, 95. We're going to have some resistance right in this area. My plan, I'm entered into this long. I actually even got a little bit of a rebounding bounce. We were tracking the 30-minute smart trail as a good support touch. I added to this position this morning. If this will load for me, there we go. Right here, I added in at 80,600, almost on the dot on that smart trail. We've made our way to the upside. My plan is to trade up and take profits here at 91,800. What happens after that? That's a question a lot of you guys ask. What if this trade is successful? What's the next move, Tim? Well, I'm going to pause. I'm not going to just immediately enter a short. I'm going to wait for some rejection to come in, probably somewhere between, again, that's almost 92,000. I always like to front run. If I think something's going to 92,000, I'm not going to put my take profit levels right at 92,000, right? I'm front running it by roughly $200. That's just solid trading, free advice for you right there. Don't put your stop losses or your take profits exactly where you see support and resistance. Always put things a little bit lower than resistance, a little bit higher than support. That's going to be your best bet. With that said, though, that's going to be my trade. If I see a reversal come in, I want to enter a short once again in this similar area. It won't be immediate, but I want to enter a short because, again, that move down towards 74,000, I might front run it. I might only trade it down to like 74.3 or something, but I want to enter that trade. My stop loss is going to be up here just a little bit above $95,000. Why? Because if we break above that, we're technically breaking a structure that's in the space right now. Let's turn off Luxago for a second. We're breaking a structure of lower highs and lower lows that are still in play, right? As bullish as I am, and as bullish as this news is going to be that we're discussing here in, again, just a couple of minutes, you don't want to ignore this. You still want to be prepared for the manipulation back and forth, right? We came down here to 78,000 last week, bounced all the way back up to 95, and then corrected to a lower low. That could happen again, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're preparing for this. But this is where the decision point comes in. What we're watching is, right now, a lot of signs pointing at Bitcoin going back above 90. That's what I want to trade. A lot of signs after that would point towards we probably want to come back down. If we break to the upside, I want to get out of my trade. Okay, I want to be out. If we break back above 95,000, let's say 500, 300, that range, I want out of this short. I'm going to take my loss. I'm going to save my money, and I'm going to watch for this one right in here. 100K. It's going to be somewhere around 99, but for lack of a better way to put it, 100K, 99.3. If we break above this structure and get back above 100K, I'm not saying it'll be immediate, but all of a sudden that would be my next sign to enter some sort of long position and look for a bigger move to the upside. Probably my stop loss somewhere around back here around $90,000. Going to give me a nice roomy stop loss there just in case, because things can get tricky. But that would be my cue to enter a new long that would go to new all-time highs. Where my take profit's going to be, I'll have to think about it. 114 is interesting, 120 is interesting, or do I let this sucker just ride and put it up to like 150, 175? Let's hold off before we decide where our take profit's going to be. That's my if-then statement. But if I'm right about 74K, don't be surprised to see, again, let me get rid of this line. Don't be surprised to see Bitcoin finish this bullish push, get up above 90K, come back down, enter into my trade, make its way down to 74, make a bounce, something like that, and then finally get a move to the upside. So what's happening after that? Well, once we've confirmed some sort of a bottom position, don't pay attention to the price action or the dates of this. This could all happen very, very quickly, very volatile. Then I'm entering another long to the upside once again, probably sticking in that 90K region. I might have to lower it, but I'm entering a long once we get back into the 74K region. So what you just saw me lay out, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to copy purposely. I want you guys to learn how to trade and invest yourself. But you just saw me play out scenarios of if-then statements. If Bitcoin breaks to above 92, but cannot crack back above 95,000, I'm entering a short. Okay. And I'm shorting it all the way down back towards 74,000. If it breaks above 95,000, I want out of the trade. And if it breaks above 100,000, I'm longing for the distant future. But again, if we don't break 100,000, I will re-enter this short. I'll trade it back down. And then if we get some sort of a bounce at or around 74,000, I will re-enter along back up towards the 90K region. Does that make sense to everybody? Put a 1 in chat if that's a strategy you're going to look to adopt. By the way, if you want more strategies like that, you want my up-to-date information and my thoughts on the markets day in and day out, you can always wait till the 3 p.m. show, or you can be in our VIP trading group where I'm chatting with people all throughout the day, and there's several other amazing traders in there that can give you their thoughts as well. Check out those links down below. All right, so that's the Bitcoin chart right now. Last thing I want to say here, and we're going to get into the news. Someone was asking earlier, Tim, does this mean altcoin season is starting? Is altcoin season here? Well, it could be, but there's something happening right now that is scaring me and saying, you know what? I don't think it's necessarily time. Buy the dips on altcoins, right? But I'm not ready to declare altcoin season because of this chart right here. This is the Bitcoin Dominance Chart. I did a recording with Paul Barron earlier, so some of this you guys are going to hear a regurgitation if you watch both here and Paul Barron's show. But when I was talking about this Bitcoin Dominance Chart, some of you will remember I predicted last summer and fall that the altcoin season would hit early December. And for a second, I looked brilliant, right? What was this based off of? It was based off the 4-year cycle. Anyone familiar with the 4-year cycle? I was predicting the 4-year cycle would continue and not end until the end. Well, I was wrong. The 4-year cycle is over now. But for a second there, you got to admit, I looked a little brilliant with that end of November, early December crash of Bitcoin dominance where it plummeted from 61.5% dominance all the way below 55%, right? It looked like alt season was here. But of course, if you look at the chart, we have skyrocketed back to the upside. We got above 64% briefly. And now we're kind of flirting with some stuff right now that is not making me feel like alt season is right here yet. I think there's a chance Bitcoin dominance climbs a little higher, in which case that doesn't mean altcoins fall if Bitcoin's rallying. It just means Bitcoin might still for right now be the best investment in the crypto space. What's happened? Well, after hitting 64,000, Bitcoin dominance has bounced several times, rejecting on 62, bouncing and having support at 60%. Right now, we are flirting with and looking like we want to break to the upside on Bitcoin dominance. So if this happens and we do sustain the breakout here, guys, we could easily go back to 64, 65. I think the probability of going back towards 70 and matching the dominance highs we had back in 2020, probably slim, but 64 to 65, not out of the woods just yet. What I would say if I'm sitting here saying, I have altcoins, I'm not selling my altcoins, I'm buying altcoin dips. But if you're asking me, Tim, what are you doing right now? Are you loading up on more Bitcoin or more altcoins? I'm loading up more Bitcoin over the last 2 weeks. When I will start shifting some of my Bitcoin profits, hopefully they're profits, into altcoins, probably back in the region, again, 64 to 65%. That could be a local top for Bitcoin dominance. And then we start to plummet maybe back down towards 50%. Is that going to be a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now? I don't know. But what I know right now is the charts are not showing me with any type of certainty that altcoin season's around the corner. And before I leave you guys and we get into the conversations, Bitcoin flirting with 83,000 once again. Good stuff there. I want to make sure you guys are clear because as we've said on the show several times, we've made some successful calls here recently. I think on the more micro time frames, we've done a really good job. On the macro time frames, we have not been perfect whatsoever. If you are the type of person who wants to watch and only follow a channel that's perfect with every single top and every single bottom call, unfortunately, the Investing Bros show is not for you. The hard part of it is I don't think you're going to find a channel out there that gives you what you want. Every single analyst is going to make a mistake from time to time. But I want to make sure moving forward that you understand with my calls, if-then statements and possibilities as well as probabilities are going to be a major, major thing moving forward. Am I telling you with 100% certainty that we'll go back up to 90K and then back down to 74 and then I can't tell you 100% anything. What I'm telling you is right now, the daily and 2-daily chart are telling me this is a major level of resistance and we have momentum to get up to there. But the 2-weekly chart is telling me this is a major level of support and we have momentum to get down there. So I'm looking at the possibilities. I'm thinking through the if-then statements, and I'm telling you what I think is highly probable on my own analysis, but we'll have to wait and see. If we fail to get back up to 90K and instead just drop to 74, well, I'm not going to throw out my entire plan. My plan is to buy at 74, so I'll just buy. If we get up to 90K and I take my profit, but then keep on climbing, that's fine. I've already decided I'll buy back in and trade with another long once we get above 100K. I cannot tell you 100% what is next, but I can tell you the significant levels of support and resistance, and I can teach you how to find those levels for yourself. Stick around, follow the channel, hit that subscribe, watch every single one of our videos, and what I can promise you is not 100% accuracy, but 100% honesty with my takes on how things work. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into our conversations, and I'm going to start it off. We're going to throw it to Tshroom here in a second, but I want to start off with 3 big headlines that have happened in the last 24 hours that are causing me to be overly bullish right now that we're going to make a move back above 90K. After that, it's about what happens next. But why am I even more confident today than I was yesterday that we're going to make it back over 90K in the next couple of days? 3 things. Number 1, we talked about it yesterday. Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire. Now, some details there. It's only a 30-day ceasefire. Technically, I have not seen anything that Russia has agreed to it just yet. But with the analysis that Trump has come out with saying that Russia has been easier to work with than Ukraine, to get this to work, it sounded like Ukraine was going to be the more uphill battle. If Ukraine has agreed to come to a ceasefire to talk peace, that is a massive, massive movement. Why? Because one of the biggest fears happening right now in the markets, both crypto and the stock market, is that we could be heading for World War III. We need to see peace in Ukraine, and this was the first major step in that happening. We'll have to process this over the next couple of days, next month. Does this lead to peace? But for now, that is a bullish headline in the last 4 hours. It suffices the fear that we're headed for World War III temporarily. Number 2. Right, what's another fear that's keeping crypto back, that's keeping the stock markets down? It's the fear of what do these tariff wars, this trade war mean between United States and Canada? I mean, just yesterday, the new Prime Minister of Canada is threatening America, saying he's going to make sure they feel the pain until America respects Canada. All right. Well, today, this morning, it's coming out. The Prime Minister is willing to sit down in negotiations with Trump. Is this the end of it? Not necessarily. There's a long path here. But for the moment, temporarily, this is a bullish sign that maybe we can see cooler heads prevail, and the 2 leaders of our countries, United States and Canada, can come to an agreement to at least temporarily end the tariffs, suppressing that fear and movement on cryptocurrency. But what's the third overall fear? The third overall fear is that we're heading for a massive recession with inflation skyrocketing, and we're not going to have any type of quantitative easing, which would bring liquidity to the markets. What happened this morning, as Tshroom showed earlier, and he'll show again here in a second, inflation has come in lower than expected, back down to 2.8. So the 3 biggest fears that the crypto markets were being suppressed by, World War III, tariff wars, and higher inflation, in the last 24 hours have all received good news. Are we out of the woods? Does this mean everything's going to be A-okay moving forward? No, absolutely. Next week or next month, something can come out and change all of this back to being bearish. But temporarily, people are going to feel a little more confident about buying some of these dips, letting the markets bounce back to the upside. This is not something to sleep on for a short-term bullish move. The question is, what happens after next week? What happens in the next 30 to 90 days on all 3 of these fronts? For more on that, I want to bring in Tshroom, get your take on what is happening. Are you feeling bullish right now, or is this something you're staying a little hesitant? You've been burned too many times by good news. You're staying out of the markets.
Well, I mean, no, today was definitely felt like a turnaround day, right? It was a day where, yeah, there was some news, there were some updates, definitely from the inflation front, but it was also a day where we saw the markets really digest the news from yesterday. Yesterday seemed like kind of a big breaking point where we got 2 big outcomes. We kind of got a signaling from Canada that they're ready to come to the table and form what could be potentially a new trade agreement in North America. And then also we had a breakthrough with Ukraine agreeing to a ceasefire. Now, that ceasefire has not yet taken place because the other party, Russia, needs to agree to that. And so we're waiting with bated breath to hear from Donald Trump, from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and perhaps from others if that is going to indeed happen, if that ceasefire is indeed going to take place. The markets have been sideways to up on this news, and this is ultimately, at this point, we've seen prices stabilize and then drop back down. So I think it's a little too close to call that this is the bottom, that we've seen the bottom's in, but it definitely is starting to feel like stabilization is returning to the market. We also heard from Steve Mnuchin, it's not in our headlines here, but we also heard from former Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin from Trump's first term say that the market is overreacting to the tariff frenzy. So that is welcome words for sure from someone who doesn't necessarily have an incentive to say anything about it. So that's kind of my take, Tim, is it feels bottomy, but we don't trade on feelings. We don't invest on feelings. We invest on actual conviction and actual sound technical analysis.
And again, that goes back to what I literally just finished saying. We got to watch how this works for the next week and the next 30 days, the next 90 days, right? Yeah, exactly. Just as all of these are three great headlines, next week we could come out and see that Russia rejects the deal, or they're in a ceasefire, but they cannot come to terms on a peace deal. And all of a sudden, we know after 30 days is over, they're going to go right back at it, fighting each other. All of a sudden, boom, we're back to fears over World War III. Okay, that could happen next week, a month from now. Who knows? As far as tariffs, we could see Trump and Carney sit down, long conversations, and ultimately just say, nope, you can't give me what I want. I can't give you what you want. We're going to go ahead and fight this out once again. I think of the three, if I'm going to give you my honest take, I think of the three that I'm concerned about, the most concerned about or least concerned about, I think there's probably the greater probability of Carney and Trump coming to a deal than there is Zelensky and Putin, or in people not being afraid of inflation anymore. Then, of course, that brings us to the inflation part. Literally, inflation going down is only good. Number one is if it stays down. And number two, does the Fed respect that, and do they take that into consideration? Next week, we have another FOMC meeting. And I want to take a look at some things going on right now. The FOMC meeting in March, it's all but certain at this point. Smay, you might need to take my face down because, there we go. It's all but certain at this point, we're not cutting rates next week, right? 99% of our CME futures is predicting a pause. I think if you go to Polymarket and 98. You looked up, is it 98? Okay, yeah. Sounds good. All right, let me go back to that screen because this is going to be important here for a second. May, we're leaning. It's losing momentum, actually. There's some momentum for a cut in May, and this could change, get more bullish, but for now, they're not predicting a cut in May. The first time that CME is predicting a cut in this year is going to be in June. There's 57.2% saying one cut, 20% saying two cuts, and that might as well be it, right? We're looking somewhere in the world of almost 80% of CME futures predicting they're going to cut. I think on Polymarket, it's closer to like 60%, so there's a little discrepancy there. But here's where it gets really interesting, and I asked you guys to vote in chat. There's 803 votes. I asked you, how many rate cuts will the Fed make in 2025? Only one? 19% of you saying only one. Only two? 40%. So the majority of our community thinks 40%. 30% of you say three, and then 11% of you say 4+. CME futures is predicting the highest probability, 32.4%, so it's not decided whatsoever. They're saying 3% at least. When you start to do the math here, we got 27, let's go +2, so that's going to put us in the world of 30. 40% chance that we're not cutting 3, but that means a 60% chance CME is predicting that we will have 3 rate cuts by the end of the year. Polymarket is giving us the highest likelihood is 3 cuts, 21% for only 2, 12, 8. But what you need to kind of factor in here, it's the same thing almost we're looking at here. Roughly 40% is saying not 3, 2, 1, or 0. 60% on Polymarkets now are predicting and voting and betting on the fact that we're going to see at least 3 cuts. So this is going to be something that's going to be processed the rest of the year, but that would be absolutely massive. Why? Because coming into this year, I'm giving you guys a lot of background, but hopefully this is helping you make sense. coming into 2025, a lot of people expected 3 cuts. And then with inflation starting to rear back up, with the tariff fears and Jerome Powell kind of saying, we don't know where inflation is going, so we don't want to get cutting fast whatsoever, all of a sudden the market's pumping, some of it baking in maybe 3 cuts, started to diminish. We started to pull back. The highs were in. If we get back to a spot where people feel comfortable and feel highly likely that we're going to get 3 or more cuts, that could play a massive role in the markets moving back towards the upside. By the way, in case you're wondering, I think we're going to get 3 cuts. I think there's a chance, depending on how things play out, we could get more than 3. But I'm going to kind of put my expectation at roughly 3. But that could change. This, again, an if-then statement. If we get 3, very bullish. If we get 2, still kind of bullish, but it's not really what I'm thinking. But if we only go 1 or 0, that could be a major suppressor on what we call a disappointing bull market. Do we even make it back to all-time highs? If we make it all-time highs, does Bitcoin only make it towards like 115 or 120,000? I still think Bitcoin and altcoins are going a lot higher. But I am under the guise of saying these are if-then statements. Things do need to happen to make my bullish predictions come true. On the inflation front, this is going to be something very interesting to track. We were going back and forth with this, even in our planning group. Put a 4 in chat. 4 for CZ, even though we're not talking about CZ right now. Just shout out to CZ. Put a 4 in chat if you believe in Truflation, the Truflation charts. Put a 6 in chat if you do not believe in it. And put a question mark if you just have no idea what I'm even talking about. Okay? Let me know what your thoughts are. Truflation today, coming in way lower than what the government is saying of 2.8%. It's coming in at 1.32%. That's what Truflation is coming in at. Why is it significant to look at Truflation? Well, because Truflation is using decentralized blockchain technology to track the major things that we track with inflation and giving us a more realistic expectation of what is happening. Ultimately, some people think that Truflation is not reliable. Other people think it's very reliable. Here's what we have, and I'll let you guys decide what you think. You have the government saying it's at 2.8%. You have Truflation, a decentralized blockchain usage to track things and say it's only 1.32%. Who are you more likely to believe? The decentralized blockchain or the government? Just going to put that out there. What I know about Truflation, though, and what we've seen happen that kind of leads towards suspicions that we've had about how the government operates, is that Truflation seems to lead early and tell us the true story of what inflation is doing, while the government stuff always has coincidental fake information out there. For example, do you guys remember right as we're getting close to elections, right as we're trying to decide, are we going to change regimes and go back to Trump, or are we going to kind of stay with the Biden administration just in the form of Harris? A lot of people were feeling the pain of inflation, but the government kept telling us here in September, October, guys, inflation is going down. Notice what Truflation did. Truflation rose in the same time from 1.6 up into election season, all the way up over 2.4. It would continue into January, getting up above almost 3%. But overall, Truflation said we were going up. At the same time, the government was saying we were going down. You tell me what you think. Well, now all of a sudden, as the government and Trump is now the president of the United States, and we're trying to find out what's happening here, they've been screaming, watch out for inflation, watch out for inflation. Inflation is going to hurt us. All the while, Truflation has been saying we have been dropping rapidly since January. But again, what do you believe? Do you believe the decentralized blockchain? Are they getting information wrong here? Or do you believe the government? Tshroom, I'm going to ask you the hard question. Who do you believe?
Well, I think Truflation is just going to be more accurate. It's going to be a more accurate representation. And, believing really isn't even the right word when it comes to that, because of how decentralized that system is to come to those conclusions. Whereas the government, you can draw a pretty clear line between intent and motivation and the actual outcomes of the data. Now, that doesn't mean that there has to be a smoking gun, that there actually is malintent behind the numbers. The point is that the stock market does trade on the inflation numbers, up or down, right? So you have to take, even if you don't trust the official numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should completely ignore them or they shouldn't be on your radar, because they certainly are on the radar of major money managers and fund desks all across the world, not just the United States. So that's kind of my view on it. I think you should take both into consideration. And moving forward, obviously, the future is probably not the government being the source of a lot of this information. That's so important. It's so critical to the future.
And I think something that's going to be really good here, because I want to make this point that is just anti-government in general. I don't care if the government's being run by liberals or conservatives or moderates or libertarians or whatever you want to be. The overall thing is, and this is where crypto is going to play such a crucial role in the future, you shouldn't have to like who's currently in government to trust if the information being presented to you is truthful or not, right? There's a lot of evidence and signs that in the last administration, they were fudging numbers on inflation and unemployment, trying to make the economy look really, really good. All the while, things behind the scenes didn't look right. Well, if you voted for Trump, you might say, well, yeah, now we're finally seeing some honest numbers. We're seeing that unemployment is actually out of control. We're watching inflation go down. I don't trust Trump's administration either. The fact that I have to trust humans that have ulterior motives is not something we should have to worry about and focus on as people. I think we need to move. This crypto needs to be put into the government so that it becomes a trustless situation. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, it doesn't matter. They are all politicians, and they can decide they have a good reason to lie to you, but politicians of all shapes, sizes, colors, and creeds lie to you when it's convenient to lie to you and tell you the truth when it's convenient to tell you the truth. Okay, I don't care Republicans or Democrats. They all do it. That is why having decentralized systems to track this information so that the public actually knows what is happening is so vital and so important. So even if you voted for Trump, I voted for Trump. Even if you think everything Trump is doing right now looks like it's good, I think it looks good. I don't want to have to just blindly trust Donald Trump and his administration. I want to see decentralized, unbiased factions, details, everything. I was having a conversation with our VIP trading group last night. Again, I'm looking at the policies that Trump's putting out. I voted for him. I voted for these policies. I love it. But you want to know something, guys? If we get to the end of 4 years in 2028 and we don't have a better economy and there's not more Americans hard at work and we're not going well and crypto's not pumping, I will say that Trump was a failure. And even though I might not vote for the incoming Democrat, I would understand, you know what? If Trump failed, Trump failed. Maybe we shouldn't go through another 4 years of Republican regime. Maybe it's time to let the Democrats take back over. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't hope it's going to happen. But we need to get back to a place where you don't just watch your favorite news channel. If you're a Republican, you're watching Fox. If you're a Democrat, you're watching CNN. You're being indoctrinated on both sides. No, you need actual, truthful, unbiased information that goes on both sides. That way, the American people can decide what and when everything is best. That being said, we're going to transition away from here. That's our local political take here on our crypto show. There's another massive story. By the way, guys, let us know in the comments what you guys think about it. That's always important as well. And as long as you smash the like button too. Let's talk about the other big headline hitting right now that some of you have maybe even seen a headline, but you're not appreciating just how bullish this story is. This story involving the largest crypto exchange in the world, Binance, but it has to do with a massive institutional adoption that is another sign that we are so early in this bull market on a macro scale. For more on that, Tshroom, what's going on with Binance right now?
Absolutely, Tim. The UAE, Sovereign Wealth Fund, that's a United Arab Emirates, a lot of money, very, very wealthy nation, takes a minority stake in Binance for a $2 billion deal. This is the largest single investment ever made in a crypto company and is the biggest investment settled entirely in crypto, in stablecoins. Binance and I asked, Investing Bros asked the question, is Binance giving up on re-entry into the United States? That's one direction we could take the combo. I think probably the best direction is this a bottoming signal? Is this a signal that Binance's value on the private markets, private equity side, meaning not publicly traded, has reached a bottom? And that's when the big boys come in and buy the distressed asset, in this case, Binance. Tim, am I reading that right? Is that something that we should think about as a bottoming signal? And what are generally your thoughts here on this pretty big headline?
Yeah, again, these are if-then statements. A lot of things can change, but this on its surface is massive. Institutional adoption coming in on this scale to be a part of the future is not something that marks tops. It is something that would be more aligned with the bottom. You pair this news with what we heard the other day that Brian Armstrong from Coinbase is going to be hiring 1,000 new workers because of the future he sees. I want to be very clear with you guys. When we say market manipulators, institutions are going to play a large part of that, but market manipulation has been a thing for a long time in crypto. You don't need BlackRock and Fidelity and MicroStrategy and others to be involved for there to be manipulation. Exchanges are part of the manipulation. You can say what you want. I like CZ and Brian Armstrong. I think they're good representation for the space. Are their hands clean of manipulation? Heck no. Binance and Coinbase are two of the biggest manipulators in the crypto space. But with moves like this kind of prepares me and tells me they don't make moves like this at tops. They're smarter than that. They when I tell you guys that nobody knows the direction of the crypto markets in the world, nobody knows 100%. But if anyone knows like 90%, it's I know CZ is not the CEO of Binance anymore, but it's the CEOs and the leaders of Binance and Coinbase. They know things and see things that you'll never get to know and see. They know the dynamics that are happening both in the retail spectrum and the whale spectrum, and now the institutional spectrum. They're having meetings behind doors that we will never get to hear about. They know the directions of the markets. But again, we tell you guys all the time, don't listen to what these people say. Watch what they do. What are they doing right now? Binance is partnering with massive organizations with big money to build. Coinbase is taking their hard-earned money and hiring 1,000 new people. That's not a top signal. That's we got a long way to the upside to go signal. And again, these are two of the biggest historical crypto manipulators in the space. I see that as a very bullish sign. They're doing bullish things. They're not just talking about it.
That's right. Yeah. And the name of that sovereign wealth fund is MGX, for those of you who are curious. And another detail to this story is the CEO of Binance, the current CEO, because it's not CZ anymore, is Richard Tang, and he's previously served as the head of the Abu Dhabi Financial Services Regulatory Authority. Okay, so again, institutional minds, folks who are at that C-suite level at major global corporations, especially in the Middle East, may have seen this one coming. Right, considering the current CEO of Binance is previously worked with the Abu Dhabi regulatory authorities. You can kind of think about it like this: the Coinbase is essentially, an America's exchange in some sense. It has a lot of tie-ins with BlackRock. It has a lot of ties in with a lot of other big Wall Street firms, and it is the custody provider for most of the ETFs that went live for spot Bitcoin. And what you can think of is who's going to compete with New York, who's going to compete with the United States.
Yeah.
And it's probably, this move is big. It's tectonic because it's looking like more and more it's going to be the United Arab Emirates, which Dubai, which is not Abu Dhabi, it's actually a separate city within the United Arab Emirates, is already considered one of the top crypto hubs in the world, right? Among names like Singapore and Hong Kong, as well as Miami. And other places too. Let me know in the chat. What do you think is truly the crypto hub? Is it a country that nobody even knows about? Is it El Salvador? So overall, this is very big win for Abu Dhabi, kind of showing their cards as they look to diversify outside of just the energy industry. And many Middle Eastern countries are doing this. It's really, really cool, interesting to see, okay, Abu Dhabi, we're going to bring in Binance. We're going to really, really start competing with America on this new front of financial services that is Web3. So they wouldn't be making this investment if they didn't think, it's just like what you're saying, Tim, they wouldn't be making this investment if they didn't think there was a future for Web3. You're looking at your AVAX bags, you're looking at your Solana bags, you're thinking, man, I wish that number was higher. The institutions, they engineered this price movement bound to the downside for big buys like these, because you wouldn't get a devaluation in Binance as a company without a major shift in the market to the downside as well. So hopefully that's all starting to make sense to you.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick break here because there's a lot of things we can do with the remaining time here. We're probably running long today, guys. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. If the views drop, we'll just have to leave because you guys are clearly not interested. I want chat to start getting really engaged. We're going to start engaging with chat and doing what you want. First of all, we got to 500 likes already, so we're going to be doing some live trading here soon. I'm going to need you guys to do a couple things in the comment section, and I'm going to give you a short-term spamming permission. Mods, do not out people for spamming. I want to see what people want to know about. What coins do you guys want me to potentially, maybe we'll do one or two. Definitely one, maybe two, depending on time. What coins do you want to see a live trade set up on? Also, I need you to spam here as well. There's a couple other big stories. We do not have time to talk about all of them, but things that we could discuss. The SEC and Ripple, could their lawsuit be about to be over? Now, this seems like this headline comes out once a week at this point, but do you guys want to talk about XRP? That could be potentially big. I see a lot of other people talking about it. Rumors coming out that Warren Buffett will potentially, or his company Berkshire Hathaway, maybe be buying Bitcoin. Or do you guys want to talk about the money supply, the global M2 money supply? That chart is looking very, very good. Let us know what you guys want us to do with the remainder of our time. I think we're going to start off with a live trade setup. I think a live trade setup is going to be probably the best thing we can do. We do some leverage trading, like heavier leverage trading over in our VIP trading group. For this one, though, because I'm aware that some people are newer and they don't really know necessarily what they're doing, I'm going to give you guys just a good old trade setup for spot trading. If you want to throw some leverage on it, you be wise with your money. But with that said, I'm going to choose a coin that's probably has a little bit more volatility in it, that you can get a little bit better return. I've seen a lot of different coins been thrown out there. It's time to bring up Smay for a second while we're engaging with chat here. All right, everybody, stop spamming chat. It's over now. Don't spam. Cut it out. No more spamming. You'll be timed out if you keep spamming. Smay, you've been looking at chat here. Mm-hmm. I want you to choose the coin in chat that you want us to do a trade for.
Well, Tim, I have to say there's not a whole lot of consensus here. I think everybody has said a different coin, but what I've seen, and it really might just be the same people spamming it over and over again. I see 4 coins that are the 4 main coins, and so I will just say these 4, and then you guys spam the number 1 through 4. So we have XRP.
It's not gonna.
No,
work.
this is gonna work. This is XRP, SUI, ONDO, HBAR. Those are your 4 options. Don't say anything else other than those. All right, 1 through 4.
Wait, XRP, SUI, ONDO, HBAR. So yes. 1 for XRP, 2 for SUI, 3 for ONDO, 4 for HBAR.
Yep.
And
now you just spammed a lot of we had the same spam. I mean, it must be limited.
I'm seeing 3 the most.
And that was ONDO?
Yeah.
All right, I like ONDO. I like that for a good.
Boom.
Right,
well, before we get into the TA, Tim, go ahead and set up that chart. Smay, if you'll go to my screen.
Stop spamming. Stop spamming, everybody. Stop.
If you guys go right here, decrypted.tax, you can get 25% off who we trust with our taxes, personal and business. This is decrypted.tax. We've got a special guest who's going to be in our bro time right after this stream is over, and it's Ernest. He is the man when it comes to taxes and crypto. If you have any crypto questions, but you've been a little lazy, you haven't done your taxes yet, and you haven't booked your free consultation with Ernest over at decrypted.tax, then today is your chance. Just go into our free Discord, jump into Bro Time, and we're going to be talking with Ernest about crypto taxes and about a lot of other stuff. We're going to get his take on anything you want to talk about. Tim, let's take a look at that chart.
All I'll say before we get into that chart, a lot of you guys keep asking, where can I get dry powder to buy these dips? It keeps dipping. How do I get dry powder? You know, one of the ways you get dry powder is getting a bigger return on your taxes. You're not going to get a better return on your taxes than with Ernest at decrypted.tax.
Very true.
I'm not just blowing that out my butt. I've witnessed it myself. I have friends that have witnessed it. There is no one better at getting you more of your money back than Ernest at decrypted.tax. That being said, let's go take a look over here at ONDO. And I'm probably going to do a shorter term setup, one that maybe will be finished by tomorrow, this time tomorrow. So for that reason, we're probably looking at the 1 hour chart, but I always like looking at a macro perspective before I zoom in and look at a shorter thing here. So ONDO gave me a little bit of a scare yesterday. It's back above support, but we lost a major support level that had been in play since here in December. We had this falling support level holding up very nicely in a very bullish formation. But yesterday, was it a fake out? Is that a sign of things to come to the downside? I still think that ONDO could make a move back up here towards 115. Not convinced it's going to do it by tomorrow necessarily, mind you, but I think it's something that we should be moving to the upside. So I'm going to have, in the same way with Bitcoin, I'm going to have a bullish bias. I'm leaning towards a long. That being said, if the charts tell me something different, we will set up a different chart. Let's go take a look at the 1 hour chart. Like, this is where it's going to get very interesting. First, let me just check. 4 hours still bullish. We got that 4 hour buy signal. Green reversal, bullish momentum, positive money flow. Yes, sirree. Short term. What does that mean? It means that ONDO could make its way up here back towards 95 to $1. 95 cents towards 97 cents, 98 cents. So I don't want to say $1 just yet. That's probably not happening by tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe it flies. Maybe it flies tonight. But that's going to probably be my max, right? I'm probably not putting a take profit any higher than 97 cents. Okay? 1 hour chart. A lot of things to break down here, everybody. Stick with me, and hopefully my madness makes sense, and you guys get a good setup. Trending up, right? Trending up. I don't always like when you have a rising channel like this, right? A lot of times that can bring a nice move to the downside, but for now, we're still trending to the upside. That is something to keep an eye on. Let's see, and what's going on with our oscillators. Let's start. What's the MACD looking like? MACD kind of neutral. RSI finding some support in the 50s, not overextended. Another argument to move to the upside. On the Luxago oscillator, we had this great buy signal back here on March 10th around 10 p.m. We made our move, hit the smart trail. We've now gone past it. So we're not getting an overwhelming buy signal here. We are seeing a green momentum, but negative money flow. So I'm going to have to check out some lower time frames to get a good movement and understanding what's happening there. Let's just be aware of some support and resistance here. Support, you're definitely going to see some support here on 81 cents, right? We start to drop. 81 cents is going to be where I think support should come in. Meaning if we enter a long, I'm probably coming just a little bit below here for my stop loss. Because we lose this, all of a sudden, we broke the structure. We're making a move to the downside. Resistance, again, 90 cents is going to be interesting here on the 1 hour chart. You have some more up here at that 95 cent level. Again, I'm kind of leaning towards a take profit holder upper towards 95, but let's keep looking at some other things. Let's go to the 15-minute chart here. Got room to the upside. Neutral. Again, not giving me bullish or bearish. The most recent call was a bear. The most recent buy or sell signal was a sell signal right here. We have come down. We went below that smart trail, so that sell signal has kind of been taken in and it's kind of finished. That's not quite a buy signal. You could make the argument that it is one. Green reversal, bullish momentum, leaning up bullish money flow, in which case you're looking up here at 90 cents and saying that could be interesting. With it being neutral, I kind of got to give an edge to that bullish move on the 15-minute chart. What about the 1 hour chart? Just want to see here. Bearish flow. So I do think we're definitely not entering into a market trade. A correction is coming in some form or another. Yeah, bubble forming on the 1 minute chart. We're going to pull back here probably in the next couple of minutes. We won't be here for it, but we're going to pull back here. So this kind of makes me back out. I like those support levels too. This kind of makes me back out and look at these things and say I probably at highest want to enter my trade back in here closer towards 83. If this doesn't enter, okay. If this doesn't enter, we'll try again tomorrow. But I'm kind of sitting here saying I'm leaning towards not wanting to buy until 83. If you want to buy right in here, if you want to buy somewhere towards 84.6 cents, be my guest. This is a spot trade, but I think there's a chance and potentially a decent chance that 83.9 or 84 cents is what possibly is coming. Now, that's probably where I'm going to enter. I need to come back here and thicken this sucker out so I can see it on larger time frames. Otherwise, it's stupid skinny. Go back out to my hourly chart here. I told you already, I need my stop loss to come down here just in case, but I'm leaning. I'm almost leaning like two different directions here. I'm kind of almost leaning. Maybe we do a tighter stop loss. Give it two trades, maybe a longer term and a shorter term. I kind of like just getting back up here into this group and coming back up. We'll go up to the top here to this take profit in that resistance level. We'll front run a little bit to 90 cents. I'm kind of feeling this right here. A shorter term trade at 83 cents. We'll get in there. We want to get out quickly if things drop below this green line. So we'll put our stop loss. We'll go a little bit lower here. Give ourselves a little breathing room, but I don't really want to lose that much. Last thing I'll say here, liquidates. Let's just make sure we're not putting our stop loss right in a fat stack of liquidity. Yeah, we're good. Okay, that's a good spot right there. If we lose this, we want to come down to hit all of this. So this is going to be my other trade setup. I told you I want to set up 2 here. Get me another long position. I want to, if we lose all this stuff and we come back down towards 80 cents, I might look for another entry right in there in case there's some sort of fake out. Go back to that 1 hour chart. This one, I'm going to give myself some breathing room. Come down below these liquidations. Take this sucker all the way up towards that 97-cent range. There we go. We'll go in that order block, 96, 97. That's going to be my second trade setup right there. So go back to the 1 hour chart. Let's turn off the madness. Let's turn off the noise. Again, we're leaning bullish. The question is, how far back do we pull at first? Zooming in here, you guys can screenshot this if you want. Come back, play it out. This is my trade entry on a shorter time frame. 83.9 cent entry, 90.6 cent take profit, 82.6 cent stop loss. If you want to play a little bit bigger, a little bit better, we're on a longer time frame trade here on the 4 hour chart. All of a sudden, we're looking at an entry. Should we get down here towards 80.7 cents, a stop loss down here at 76.2. Again, we're using liquidations to make sure we're not the sheep. We don't want to be stuck with the same people who get liquidated and manipulated moves, but we're also looking at a take profit to the upside there, maybe 96 cents. What you need to know about this, again, 1 hour trade, 4 hour trade. Both of these could play out in the next 24 hours. The 1 hour, I would be very surprised if it doesn't come to completion within the next 12 to 24 hours. The 4 hour, you could see 2 to 3 days, 2 to 4 days, actually. So make sure you're aware of how long your time frame is here. But these are entries that I would make right now on ONDO. I told you it takes some time. It takes some secret sauce. I'm not guaranteeing you these work, but I'm telling you there's support at 83.9. There's support at 80.7, and there's some resistance levels starting at 90.6 and then 96.8 that are very significant here on ONDO. Screenshot it. I might screenshot this also and put it into our VIP trading group as well. Copy image. Give me a second. Tshroom, let's answer some chat while I put this over into our VIP trading group.
All right. Yeah, I see a J Rock with a super chat said AERO, please. Aerodrome. Very, very good. We might have time to do that one. AVAX looking good on the daily. Let's see. Some wild comments in here today.
Yeah, it's always, it's the crypto world right there. We had the super chat saying AERO. It's 3:57. I guess nobody wants to talk anything news-wise. We just maybe want to do one more trade and then our factoid of the day here. Is that what people want? I know.
Yeah, I just want to remind people just before join us in bro time today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a little bit of tax talk, and that's not going to be boring. That's going to be actually really, really fun to maximize our crypto gains this cycle. So, yeah, Tim, I think a little bit of AERO TA would actually hit the spot.
Let's do it. Let's take a look at AERO TA. Go ahead and go back to my screen here. Now, AERO, a lot of blood here, right? So first thing I'll say, and I should have said this for ONDO as well, if you just want a long-term buy, this is great. Coming back and touching this long-term support level, I'm not promising you this at the bottom. What I'm saying is that's a major support level right here around 49 cents. It was the support back in September, pretty close to the support we had in August and July as well. So historically, that's been a pretty good little level right there for an AERO purchase. What I don't love, we were in a falling wedge here on the daily chart. You can see within the last, when you go to smaller time frames, we're flirting with this green line. We've lost it, kind of turned it into resistance right there. I'm wondering if I could get away with a redrawing technically. You kind of could almost say, what about this? I don't love it, but arguments could be made. That is a parallel line. Are you looking at a falling channel? It's such a steep falling channel, though. I don't really love that support level. Either way, bubbles forming on the daily chart. So again, long-term buy. I think long-term buy. This is a great, I say long-term. Longer term, in the next couple of weeks, I think there's a good buy that could make its way back up here towards 76 cents at least. But that is very, very good and overextended, oversold. The weekly chart is oversold there as well. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Let's see what it's kind of telling us just from perspective. It's a little lean and bullish. Green reversal, bullish momentum, and bullish money flow there on the 4-hour chart. That makes me feel decent about a return to 66 cents, give or take. 1-hour chart. How's it making me feel today? Got a buy signal back in here. Let me zoom in there a little bit. Buy signals, strong rejection there at that smart trail, though. All right, let me check these other ones real quick. I'm going to try to go a little faster here. Some bullish momentum on the 5-minute chart. Breaking some structure. Does the 1 minute give me? Yeah, the 1 minute gives me a little pause and lets me think, hey, I probably need to / want to wait for a return back here to this smart trail, right? So somewhere in the world of 52 cents. Now let's go back to that 1 hour chart. Let's look at the major levels of support and resistance before we kind of really get detailed with where we want to go here. Resistance is going to come in somewhere between 53 back up here towards 54. I always like to front run it. So let's go somewhere here on 53.9, 54 cents, right? That's kind of a level I would keep an eye on and move back up there. From a support perspective, oh, you got to go below this order block here. It's not the greatest trade setup right there, but you got to go below that. I mean, you could possibly get away with a little bit lower of a purchase, but I'm going to leave it there. Last one I want to take a look at. Let's make sure we're not putting ourselves into any ridiculous liquidation spots. And sure enough, we are. God, I can't risk that low. I don't feel great about this trade. I almost am kind of thinking, this is what you do. This is what you do if you want to be a little more risky. Let's turn liquidations off for a second. This is what you want to do if you want to be a little more risky. It does have support level right here at 50. Let's just put some levels here. 52.2. Take profit would be somewhere up here, 54 cents. And my stop loss somewhere in here, 51. That longer term trade, though, remember we talked about the 4 hour chart saying we go a lot higher. Again, this could take days, but I look at these liquidations and I'm going to sit here and say, I probably want to wait for some of this to get hit. Don't need all of it. I'm willing to put my stop loss down below the junk, but that's what I'm kind of watching. Let's go right. Yeah, we're going to have to go right in here. Let's go back out here to the 4 hour chart. Now we can get rid of liquidations. Let's make this a little thicker here. Now I can zoom up here and say, there we go. I want to go back up to the smart trail, the 4 hour chart, where we are seeing some bullish signals. Let's just come right up right in here. There we go. Wow, those are such seismic different trades going on right there. That's a scalp right there, guys. This is a day trade to potential longer-term swing trade I'm looking at right here. Buy signal, remove the junk at 50 cents. Do your stop loss at 48.6 cents and take profit at 65 cents. There's a little AERO trade set up for you. That is going to wrap up our live trades. Thank you so much for smashing that like button. Again, we'll do more of these if the likes keep pouring in, the views keep pouring in. But again, if you want to see more of them, we're doing this all the time over our VIP trading group. It's not just me. Other pro traders are in there as well. If you want to stay up to date on conversations, update on what's happening on the charts, there's no better way than to get in that VIP trading group. Go buy Luxago with our link. That's the key in. Or just go check out our membership options. All of that in the description down below. Sign up today. J-Rock with the Super Chat says, respect. Respect to you, J-Rock. Thank you so much for that. Smay, it's time to come back up and do our Factoid of the day. Now, earlier in chat, I want to read this. Vinny the Doge said the public wants a 90s family sitcom intro for Investing Bros where you all turn around and smile. I don't know if that would become the permanent intro, but that is funny. Maybe something for our private VIP group. James Neal also said Smay's going to have to make his own channel. Maybe Smay's going to Smay, have you ever made a channel before on YouTube?
I mean, no. No, I just,
All right, that was a lie right there. He has done it before.
I have.
What we do need, though, and here's the thing. We were just talking about this earlier in our planning meeting. We try our best. We like to have fun. In case you guys don't notice about the Investing Bros, we're going to discuss the serious topics. We're going to dive into the charts. We're going to give you our best perspective. We like to keep it lighthearted, encouraging. But I don't like lying to people or like being sarcastic too much. I like to report what's real. I'm not a meme guy. Smay, though, is our local agent of chaos. How many of you would follow and support a Smay X account that does nothing but try to spread chaos and memes that's not to be taken serious in any way? Drop a Smay in chat. All caps Smay if you would follow him on X and he would just be an agent of chaos. With that said, What's our factoid of the day?
Well,
today?
thank you for that. Oh, man. I just appreciate that. But real quick, guys, you know what's more important than a SME anything is spending time with the bros. And I don't mean me. I don't mean Tim or Tshroom. I mean one another. Generally, and you can do that in our free Discord link in the description. Without further ado, let's jump into the factoid of the day, brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Today we're talking about household robots. Tshroom thinks they'll be doing our plumbing in 10 years. No. But anyways, they do vacuum. And so here we'll go ahead and jump into that. Which household chore do robots struggle with the most due to current AI limitations? And by the way, before you ask, the elf, he has an in with the AI. So, specifically, there's no fact check on this one. This is just from his heart.
Bravo.
So this is what he struggles with, the elf. A, vacuuming. B, folding laundry. C, washing dishes. Or D, taking out the trash.
Bravo.
I feel
Bravo.
like folding laundry. AI already vacuums, so we have Roombas. Washing
Roombas
dishes.
are not AI.
I thought robots.
AI limitations.
Oh.
I guess AI is being used synonymously with robots. That's okay. I'm going Bravo, and it's because I definitely saw this in a documentary. I watch a lot of documentaries on robots and AI. So if I'm wrong,
Which is why he has terrible opinions about him, guys. Normie takes, if you will. Normie takes. But all right.
I'm gonna say let's diversify it up here. Let's go washing dishes. They're not good at knowing when it's actually clean or not. I don't know. I don't know. None of the. I think like they could all do
that's
these.
a good.
I'm gonna
That's
see.
a good.
and I'll just say on the record, I hope they don't do any of these because I love doing chores. Said nobody ever.
No, come on, get out of here. All right, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is B, folding laundry. Specifically,
I was never
the
gonna
elf
beat
was
Shroom with
telling
that
me.
one.
The elf was telling me he struggles with laundry because the shapes and textures are hard to track for a robot brain. All right, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's all you get from me today. Bye.
There we go. Thank you so much, Smay. Thank you, everybody else, for being here. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Do we have a guest tomorrow? Oh, yes, we do. Caleb Franzen is joining the show. You do not want to miss his take on the macroeconomics. With that said, though, love you guys. See you later. Two-handed salute. Adios.